Hi guys, Rose here with the Cackling Moon, and this is day 16 of the 31 Days of Tarot Challenge. I apologize for it being so late when I put it out, but I realized I didn't do a recording for it ahead of time, so here we are. So number 16's question is kind of long. Let's see. It says, how much emphasis do you put on the textbook meanings for cards, and how much stress do you place on the feeling you get from cards through their artwork, symbolism, etc.? Also known as reading intuitively. Do you do both or one or the other? Do you ever use the major arcana without the minor arcana or vice versa? Do you read with major arcana only decks? Okay, so I'm going to answer the last one first. I don't read with major arcana only decks. I don't own any. I know that there's a couple that exist, but I personally do not own any of those. Would I want to? Yeah, I think those would be really cool. I think it would be really cool to work with the archetypes and kind of do archetype readings and personality readings and all of that. So that would be kind of interesting. So my personal reading style is intuitive reading, and I've been branching into more intuitive reading because I've just been noticing a real major shift in my intuition and the advancement of just trusting my intuition and, really strengthening my psychic abilities. If you hear a little bell in the background, that's my cat. I got a new kitty. I adopted a kitten the other day, so I'm really excited, but that's a whole different video. So anyways, but I did study the tarot like crazy when I began the journey. So here are some of the books that I actually used a lot in my journey. So when I do read the cards, I do a blend. I do a mixture of the meanings of the cards based on books, as well as my own personal perspective on the cards, as far as the images, the colors, and just what my intuition is telling me based on the client's energy. So I do like to feel, I do like to say, I do tap into client energy. I tap into emotions. So I guess that could be considered energy readings as well, but it's all intuition. But yes, I do still use very much the meanings that I've acquired from the textbooks of the cards. So a couple of the books that I used, this was a find that I found in a thrift store. So this is the a complete guide to the tarot. So this is just your typical basic meanings of the cards. You'll have a large image let me go back to it. There you go. A large image of the card, and then just few paragraph, maybe a couple paragraphs of very basic meanings of the cards. Nothing major, not a lot of detail, but still really helpful. This was one of those books where I would just tuck it in my purse because it was so small, and keep it with me for quick, to help me out, quick keywords and whatnot. So keywords help out a lot. Keywords also help out with trusting your intuition. This next book was actually the one that I always recommend this book to any tarot reader beginner, and people who come to me on my blog on Tumblr asking for advice of what tarot books do I recommend. This is the one I'd highly recommend. It's called 78 Degrees of Wisdom by Rachel Pollack, and this is the tarot book that I studied off of like crazy. And you will see I have like pages upon pages that are just, it's highlighted like insane. I took notes. I kept a journal, but I highlighted like crazy. I kept this book with me when I would go to work. So on my lunch breaks and my breaks, I would whip it out and read it. It was such an amazing read. It gave me so much insight. So anybody who is looking for a really good book that goes into detail, that goes into the history of the cards, that goes into about the images and the numbers and the symbols, this is definitely the book I highly recommend. 78 Degrees of Wisdom by Rachel Pollack. This one was a find that I found at one of those metaphysical shops when I was out and about. This is the Tarot, Understanding the Tarot Court by Mary K. Greer and Tom Little. So this book, I haven't done too much work, and you think that I would, because I the court cards were ones that were a struggle for me. But this gives insight on the courts and, you know, how to read the court cards. It is a really interesting book, but I must say, from my personal perspective, it was a little bit kind of boring in a way. It was just very like text, just very like, you know, it wasn't like as fulfilling. I mean, even though the 78 degrees of wisdom was like very informative and all that, it was still really interesting, and I did not find myself getting bored with it. But this one, I never finished it because it was such a boring read, and I think that just goes along with like how I feel about the court cards. um they're just some of the cards I just don't care for. So this is definitely a book that I would definitely pick up again to restudy the court cards. But until then, and then this is like the very first tarot book that I ever purchased, The Complete Idiot's Guide to Tarot. And so, believe it or not, this book is actually very, very informative, and it goes into like the beginning stages of what to do with your deck. There's worksheet pages in here so you can answer questions about each of the cards. And I think I actually yeah, I did. I filled out some of the portions in here. But it goes through the cards, and then it goes through card combos. And I think I left off at like the card combo. So it would talk about, you know, one card with another card. It also would talk about the upright and the reverse version. So it was just very informative and very nice. It goes all the way into the minors, which I didn't even get into because at the time this was the first book I had, and then I eventually got the 78 degrees of wisdom. So, and then that one just that one just took over. So I highly recommend The Complete Idiot Guide to Tarot. It is very informative. It's also basic meanings, but you can do a lot with it. This book got a lot of love and attention for me, as you can tell. But yeah, any kind of book that's just going to give you basic meanings of the cards, it's gonna be very helpful. But the key is, once you gather the information from the cards and you're like familiar with the basic meanings and pretty much the keywords, really that's when the intuition kicks in, and that's when you begin to trust your intuition for each client, because every client is different. You know, the Hangman card can mean a billion different things for each different type of energy of a person and the type of question that they're asking. So you really got to trust your intuition, but having some knowledge of the basic meanings of the cards will also help you get started too. So basically I do a blend of the two, but this is day 16, and you guys, I will see you guys tomorrow with day 17. Bye guys.